Monday, November 7th. We established, this is the City of Burlington's Board of Finance. Our first item is the agenda. Is there a motion on the agenda? By Councilor Barlow, seconded by Councilor Carpenter. Any discussion on the matter and what's coming up? Oh. Councilor Niebuhr, are you just looking to be promoted, or do you have a comment on the agenda before we vote?
No, it was just looking to be promoted. Thanks.
Wonderful, thank you. Any discussion on the agenda before we vote? See none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Our next item is public forum, and it's the practice of the Board of Finance to first go to folks in the room. From the public here to address the Board of Finance, I'm not seeing anyone but city staff here. Welcome, city staff. And no one indicating that they're here for public forum, so we'll go online. And I see former City Councilor Sharon Busher. Good evening, Sharon. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank Megan Moyer for explaining the money request on consent, the 1.8 million. I couldn't piece it all together, and so I had many questions, and she was kind enough on the weekend, late Sunday night, to respond. And then again this morning to just clarify where the money was coming from. So I just want to thank her because, first of all, if she wants another career, I think she could teach kindergarten because she can dumb it down for somebody like me who doesn't really understand all those moving parts all the time. And she explains it very clearly. And that's really a skill set that is so needed. So anyways, enough said about that. I'm phoning in because two items, one on consent and one on your deliberative, have to do with, first of all, funding for Secord and Memorial. So it's the IFAC grant request, which I support, and then there's the Taft advisors to do the financial analysis. And I'm glad to see all of this going on. But I wanted just to remind those who are really embedded in this that for the public, there's been this huge hiatus from the time there was a meeting at the Fletcher Free Library to now, with no communication. And I know a lot of things were in flux, but it does oftentimes make me concerned. I don't want the public cut out. People are cut out at so many levels, on federal level, on the state level. I just don't want on the local level to not be kept informed. And for those people who care to participate, giving them that opportunity. So I'm just stating that as a reminder to please make sure that the public has opportunity to weigh in lots of different formats. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Anyone else online to address Board of Finance? Seeing none, we'll close public forum and move on to our next item, which is our consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda? By Councilor Carpenter, is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Barlow. Thank you. Any discussion on the consent agenda items before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to our first deliberative item. Item 4.1 is a contract authorization with Taft Infrastructure Advisors regarding our Seaport and Memorial Block projects. Here with Leo. Yes.
Almost a year ago now, we did receive a grant, an IFAC grant from the Department of Transportation. These grants are typically used to do research and work around developments. We have received approval from the Department of Transportation to post an RFP for a consultant to help us learn how we can better build our capital stacks and assess economic impacts, long-term economic impacts from these large-scale development projects. This consultant is fully paid for by this grant. And as I said, the DOT reviewed the RFP and has reviewed the potential contract and signed off on both of those with Taft. Taft will help us understand how the city can best create capital stacks, including things like low-income housing tax credits, historical tax credits, opportunity zone tax credits, as well as better ways to assess economic impact from development projects of this sort, so we can understand moving forward the positive impact that these projects can have.
Sorry, I appreciate that. And any discussion or questions from the board? Councilor Carpenter.
First off, can you just give me a little background on Taft?
Yes. So Taft is pulling in a few other sorry, I don't know. We're going to speak today. Taft will be pulling in other sub-consultants to help them. What they do is they help municipalities figure out the best way to move forward financially with P3 projects. So those are public-private partnerships. Again, helping us assess which grants and tax credits will best go for, which mobility hubs and transportation links we should be including in that, as well as I said, so I was not part of the team that reviewed these applications, but this is specifically their wheelhouse.
Have they done contracts in Vermont? You said they subcontracting, are they subcontracting locally?
Yes, they are subcontracting locally and they have done contracts in Vermont as well.
And
They're based out of Massachusetts. I don't, but I could get those for you.
I would be interested both in with your subcontracting with.
Yeah.
I think it will be very important out the gate that they talk to and work with the allocators of many of those credits. Are you eligible, and are you eligible in the sense that the project will be eligible, but there's always politicking behind the scenes
Yes.
and waiting and massaging who gets what.
Yeah.
And I've seen a couple of out-of-state consultants who don't kind of get that.
Yeah.
Always get that.
All right,
And so
and
I
do
just-
understand that.
and-
This is also, so just so you know, they're out of Massachusetts and they have done work in Vermont as well, but this is also, I'm hoping to help build city staff sort of muscle around these public-private partnerships so that we feel more in the driver's seat as well,
Mhm.
understanding the funding that's available, and understanding how to best put it together.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Question for another day is, you really do need a staff person who gets that and gets. I'm just gonna say the politics behind it.
Yeah.
That is gonna be very critical for your office.
Yeah. It includes, the team they put together includes Baker Tilly as well as VHB, which I'm sure you know, and they have offices in Vermont, and we're using them for some of their planning expertise.
And Baker Tilly is a great accounting firm. I worked with them before, and they know how the programs work,
Yeah,
but they only work as good as you get allocated credits.
yeah, yeah.
And so that's the stuff that will be very important to understand.
Thank you, Councilor Carpenter. Are there questions or comments?
Very far.
What's the timeframe on this?
We are looking to start immediately as soon as we get the contract signed, because we want this work to inform us as we move forward, looking to sign durable agreements for both projects, so both Seacourt and the Memorial project. So now,
So, and then they would begin work and would expect a work product from them by.
within 6 months.
Further questions or comments? Councilor Travis.
Yeah, just a comment, I appreciate your naming the need to develop the muscle, of, some of the work to be done here. I think particularly with, Samantha Dunn's departure, that the city lost a lot of that development muscle and, ability to be a true partner in these redevelopment agreements that we signed off on here. Particularly with respect to land that is the city's. I know that in the support project, that the Sears Lane parcel is a city parcel. We're truly going to be a development partner of that parcel. We do need to beef up and build our expertise in the area. And of course, Memorial Block project, well, should also name, it's also a municipal property. So I really appreciate that early on in your tenure here as Judge Undercar that you identified the need for this. And was excited to see this agenda be strongly supported this evening.
Great, thank you. Anything else from the board before we go to a motion? Okay, is, yeah, Councilor Newbeezer?
Yeah, apologies. And once again, I'm en route for kit pickup, so I apologize that I'm not there. The just to the public comment we heard, the point around Memorial Block, just for clarity, this isn't really, if I'm understanding this correctly, it's not really superseding or making any sort of decisions as much as it is sort of building internal capacity and making sure that as we approach these projects, we're doing so as thoughtfully as we can.
That is
Sorry.
exactly correct.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilor. Is there a motion?
So
Councilor Carpenter?
sure what the motion is, but I will move the motion as presented on
That is okay tonight. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Barlow. Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote?
I just a point of clarification. Is this something that only needs to come before the Board of Finance, or because I see the motion listed as to approve and authorize the CEDO director, is this something that will come before the council at our December 1st meeting? Or
I think the amount,
yeah, maybe it only requires those.
sorry, check. I have a couple motions. One was on the consent tonight, if you give me one moment. And one was for this.
So Attorney Brown, is this?
Correct, this does not need to go to council.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, much instead of recommend language. But
Yeah.
The last stop.
Yeah. The last stuff.
Okay.
New procurement policy, new
Yes.
Yes,
procurement policy,
Yeah.
so all learning the.
Yeah, I know.
That's great, thank you for that clarification.
thank you.
Any other questions before we vote? This motion on the floor. Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 4.2, which is a reclassification of one position within the Department of Permitting and Inspection of Director of the Award Scanner from Hotel.
Mayor?
Here from our HR team. Okay,
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Bill Ward, and I'm here asking for consideration of this reclassification of our zoning manager position. Position is currently held by Scott Guston. He's been with the department since it was created in 2019. Interestingly, as I noted in the memo, it's the only position really in DPI that did not come as an already fully baked position from the original department that it came from. All the other positions, whether it was trades inspectors, housing team, which was code enforcement, they really came, as an existing unit. But this zoning manager position was in part done by the former, some of the tasks that were supposed to be included in this were things that were done by the former director of planning and zoning. So the zoning manager position was something that was created in the original job description. Imagined is a good way to describe it, because we didn't really know fully what it was. It was a former innovation director and a former HR specialist who helped us put this together. But in reviewing it, we found there are a number of tasks that were not accurate and they're required of the position, but not actually in it. So we're 6 years into that, and we started this process last year in the winter, and Tim Clancy and the HR team did a review of it and confirmed that, again, whether it was the complexity of the tasks, the additions of things that were always intended to be there, but not specifically called out in the job description, that now in the edited version you can see. It's important to me that we bring this to where the position really should be. The reclassification team found that it should be a grade 24. I'm trying to correct this as quickly as we can. I did begin the process last winter, and it took some time to go through a few iterations between myself, Scott, and Tim Clancy. And it was actually prepared for going for approval with the Board of Finance. Ironically, the same night that the Board of Finance last year was discussing the budget challenges for FY26. The timing was horrifically bad. I had agreed to take that off and wait till the appropriate time. But in consideration of that, I wanted to just mention that the zoning manager position is critically important for the process of enforcement of the zoning ordinance in Burlington, and bringing violators, along with the city attorney, to some form of justice. And then through that, we collect fees. This year, as an example, we have collected from a budgeted revenue amount of $50,000 for stipulation fees. We've already collected $103,000 in stipulation fees from zoning violations and court corrections to those zoning violations. The zoning division itself is really the strongest performer in the divisions, and we have budgetary savings in addition to the amount that I just noted, in the fact that we've had a position that's been vacant. We just hired the person, but the position has been vacant for 2 months. I feel confident in saying that there's enough money within the existing budget from that division to more than cover the amount for this fiscal year, and to include having a request, and realize it's a special request, that it be retroactive to when I fully intended this position to be for that person. July 1st should have been the active or effective date of this. So next year's budget is being drafted by myself to include this as a budget neutral portion of it. So I'd be happy to answer any specific questions that you have about either the job or my request.
Yeah. Questions or comments from the board? So Carpenter.
This is not quite specific to this, but it's an example where I really feel we, the city, need to get our act together and get these classes done in the budget process. I mean, you know, I understand people have a lot on their plate, but I hope your charge will be to, I don't want to underpay staff, and that's really important. And people should get paid what their job requires. But I think, and Bill's saying it's budget neutral, which is very good. But nonetheless, it's concerning to have to do reclasses middle of the year. You're lucky that you've got some play in your budget, but if we didn't, that would not be a good thing. And you could end up in a circumstance where the employee might be penalized because we'd have to juggle something around. So that's more of an editorial comment. I'm supportive of this. So it's fine.
Appreciate that, Councilor Carpenter, and had this same conversation with the derby classes, and I do mean it because I can confidently say with the CAO and our HR director, we have gotten to the point of a revived classification policy, which we're bringing to department heads this week actually, to make sure that all departments have consistency in their understanding of our reclass policy, including frankly dusting off a little bit our PPM to make sure that that's understood in terms of the mechanics of what has already been specific in policy, making sure there's consistent understanding down into the organization as well. So we'll be having more, and as I had promised, and I do mean this, just took us a minute to get to this policy review. Once we reviewed that with senior leadership in the administration, having that as a conversation here with the board in the next couple of meetings or so that we can all be on the same page for reclassifications that will time well when we start to begin talks of leader on fiscal year 27, which I appreciate people's patience, that we needed a little bit more time on that, just to run certain numbers all the way through our process to bring solid figures forward, and that will be on the 15th. Of December. So we'll either on the, the 1st or the 15th, we'll make sure this is a discussion item, reclass in general for the board. Thank you. Thank you for always paying attention. Appreciate it. Other questions on this item, item 4.2? Councilor Brother.
I appreciate Councilor Carpenter's comments. I agree with them. I appreciate the work administration's doing to sort of make a consistent reclass policy. I'm hopeful that reclass policy will start to curtail some of the practice of retroactive pay for many reclasses we see. And I appreciate Director Ford's answering my questions. I reached out on that very question about retroactivity of pay, and I appreciated your response. So lots of appreciation. I don't have a lot of comment, but I'm glad it's something that we're working on. That's continues to come up. That's why we have these reclassifications. I think given where we are financially, to sort of rein it in. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Councilor Newbeeser.
I have appreciation too, Councilor Barlow. I love it. Quick comment or my question, I guess, is, so if I'm understanding correctly, we can, there's play in the budget because we've raised more revenue than budgeted. That's directly linked to this position, and we had a vacancy savings essentially. You said that in the next fiscal year, you're sort of writing your budget to that this would be revenue neutral. It wouldn't be sort of an increase, if I heard that correctly, and I'm just wanting to understand that more.
Correct. So what I intend by that comment is that in my crafting of the FY 27 budget to give to the mayor and Catherine, it would include offsetting either reductions in other other expenses that we would have, or additional revenue that we could forecast to sort of offset and keep this so it doesn't the increase because of cost of living or other changes that it brings on offset that in the crafting of the FY 27 budget to maintain it as budget neutral.
Okay, and then on the revenue, one last quick question off that. On the revenue side, is this like if I heard right, we had budgeted 50,000, we raised 100 something. Is that a particularly good year, or is that a new normal? And so that's what we're going to project.
No, that's a great question. We had a couple of longstanding zoning violations that have come to their sort of final stage, and we're in a payment plan with a couple of property owners. So I'd have to look at the specific dates of them, but it's pretty clear that we're not done with the 103,000 that we have already for this year, but I doubt unless something substantial comes that we'll be back to, another 100 to 150,000 next year. But it's more likely that it'll be closer to a final collection of about $150,000 this year at the end of this fiscal year compared to what I had budgeted, which was 50,000.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. That's all I got.
Thank you, Councilor. Any final comments before we look for a motion? Is there a motion? Councilor Travers.
Move to approve and recommend the council approve the reclassification of the DPI zoning division manager and principal planner, regular full-time exempt non-union grade 22 step 15 position to zoning division manager, principal planner, irregular full-time exempt non-union grade 24 step 13 position, retroactive to July 1, 2025.
It's 24, sorry, there's a typo. So 22 to 24.
The step.
I'm sorry.
To step grade 24.
Grade 24. Yeah.
It is a
Did I
big
say-
typo on Civic Clerk, so.
Oh.
No,
I'm not.
sorry, there's not a typo, I'm looking at the wrong line.
Grade 22, step 15 to grade 24, step 13, correct?
Yes,
Correct.
yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
Okay.
And I am just over here staffed up my department heads, yeah. Well, it's not correct, but always one track.
So we know.
So Counselor Travers, made a motion which is on Civic Clerk and is stated correctly. Is there a second? Counselor Barlow, thank you. Any further discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion carried unanimously. Very much, thank you, Bill. Always have your back, just for the record. On to our last deliberative item, item 4.3. Lee, are you our lead? Yes, great, you got it. Come on, board. I love that, and actually, I've been setting up, felt some good news on that. Yeah, and her team, just while we have the public's attention. She and her team are recognized for meeting a milestone with some of the climate goals that we're trying to do around energy consumption of our city buildings. And through a lot of hard work, especially because of this building is not an easy one, our Burlington Police Department building achieved the 2025 goal for building energy consumption, which means there's been at least a 35% energy reduction compared to the Burlington 2030 district baseline for that building, which is no small feat considering that is an interesting building. So I really wanted to praise you, Kim, in public and appreciate that. That's a lot of hard work and it helps us move us towards our climate goals. So little mayor advertisement there. So well done.
That was very nice of you.
Well, we really
Nice
do that.
thing I've heard all night.
Well, we'll do more in your day tomorrow. So now officially back on the agenda, we have item 4.3, which is here to present on the Robert Miller Community Center Energy Improvement theme here and equipment replacement project within our Burlington Parks Recreation waterfront.
So, yeah, right on theme there. One of the things that, in my few years working with the city that I've realized that we really need to strive to do better at is planning for our buildings. Instead of waiting for things to get really bad and then figuring out how to Band-Aid or fix them, is to plan ahead of time so that we can get the best material that we can afford for the best price with the best contractors and be able to plan well for the building. So, one of the buildings that I've been working on is the Robert Miller Community Center. It's a building that was originally constructed in the 50s, was remodeled in 2008. And the HVAC system in the building is now antiquated. It is at the point where we are having to do CPR on the system in order to keep it running. And, you know, we use that building for city employee space, we use it for community space, we use it as a leased daycare space, we have a teen center in there. So it's really a hub for a lot of people in Burlington. And we're at the point now where we absolutely have to replace some of the HVAC equipment. So working towards our energy goals that we're trying to meet, we have figured out how to replace what absolutely has to get done, put off some of the things that can come in the future over the next several years, and meet our net zero energy goals for the building at the same time. So I am here tonight to ask for your approval to move forward on not just replacing the equipment that has to be replaced, but to be excited about having our first city net zero energy building at the same time. If you have any questions, I can answer for you.
Counselor Travers.
Yeah. Congratulations, first of all. Wasn't aware of that news. Thank you for sharing that.
I like to be brave communities.
Yes. I guess my only question is this: if the construction or the work were to begin later this winter, is there any chance that the building could potentially be closed at a time when we may be using it as an emergency?
You are the second very smart person to ask that question. So it actually
Take that.
wouldn't start this winter. By the time we order the equipment, it comes in, it'll be spring before we even get started. So no, it will definitely not be shut down this winter. It needs to be used for weather shelter.
Okay, good to know. I think what had me concerned is that when I was reviewing the memo on this, it appeared that the timeline of it may be to begin construction late winter, early spring, February to March. And I think that hopefully we don't have an extremely cold day, April 1st, but I do think that state funds theoretically are available up until April 1st of 2026. So I appreciate that confirmation, and will be supporting this, and just wanted to confirm that this wouldn't potentially stand in the way of this maybe
Right.
be utilized as that space.
Right, yes, beginning of construction can encompass a lot of things that don't include putting holes in the roof and ripping equipment out. There's a lot of pre-work that has to be done, electrical wiring and things like that, which can be done without closing the building at all.
That's perfect.
Do we have a plan, somewhere, of the impacts and, maybe I don't need that today, like when will it be closing, what? This is more because we're neighborhood counselors, you know, what's not gonna happen, I guess, that I would be very interested in, I think will be very important. For us to know as people inquire, you know. Will I be able to use the building, what's gonna be not available for recreation programs?
Sure, that's a great question. So one of the nice things about how this building is set up, and especially if it's only one level, is a lot of the work is gonna happen on the roof. Therefore, there's probably going to be almost 0 days that the whole building is closed down. As of right now, I can't give you an exact schedule because until equipment is ordered and we know when it's coming in, then we would start scheduling things and we would schedule them in conjunction with the team that's in the building. But because of the weather, which is part of why we're scheduling it this way, really, we shouldn't have to close down the building almost at all. And that includes the daycare center.
Great, so I just think it'd be important, you know, people jump to conclusions, we're gonna announce this and. Somebody's gonna assume, oh my God, it's gonna be closed all summer. And so I just think if you can
That will absolutely not happen.
inform us about what is happening.
Sure, absolutely.
Councilor Barlow.
Councilor Carpenter asked, or voice blank, so.
Great. That's coordination of the New North End councilors. Okay, great. Any other questions by any councilor before we look for a motion? Seeing none, and I will allow people to reference city clerk on this one. It's a little bit long. Is there a motion? Councilor Barlow.
Motion is recommended.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilor Carpenter. Thank you. Any further discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. With that, and no further items on our agenda, I will adjourn the Board of Finance at 5:35 p.m.
Thank you.